My name is Gina Mariko. I'm the founder and CEO of It Mariko. I'm the founder and CEO of It Mariko. We are a women of color-led creative events agency here in San Francisco, based in Silver Filipinas Cultural Heritage District. And we are experience designers, event planners, curators to create magical, meaningful, joyful moments for the community. I've been doing events for a long time. My first event I ever produced was my senior year in high school, producing a hip-hop dance night for my high school and trying to convince the nuns and brothers that hip-hop wasn't evil. So that was my first production ever. I started producing events doing dance productions in San Francisco. I loved dance. I was a dancer. I moved into doing nonprofit events, and then started working at Google, where I naturally found my way into events. I've been doing events for 15 years. So It Mariko is a play on me. No, really, Mariko is my Japanese name, so I'm Filipino and Japanese. I speak Japanese. I've been to Japan. I learned speaking Japanese from my dad and my grandma. That's how It Mariko was born. It was like, hey, pick us, and this is me. So when I first launched It Mariko, I was part-time working at Google still and doing the business part-time. So one of the hardest things for me, obviously, was being a woman in this industry, events, hospitality, production, and then on top of that, being a woman of color. So early on, I would be going to these big Google events with my bosses. I supported bigwig CEOs and the lead of self-driving cars. And people would literally, talk down to me, kind of treat me like a child. I've had one event where a guest who was drunk, tapped me on my head and told me I was so cute. So there's always this kind of masculine, hyper-masculine energy that's trying to assert itself. So there was a lot of having to prove myself, a lot of having to put on these big girl pants and claim my space and claim my role in the space. This is my event, I'm in charge. Unfortunately, my family experienced this really tragic family loss. I lost a cousin to suicide, and it was incredibly unexpected. It was extremely heartbreaking, and it literally broke my family open. It broke all of our hearts open. And so me doing events at this time and then having this crazy loss, and then my family, my cousins literally having to step up and plan this funeral was such an unexpected thing. But then in my body, I kind of was like, well, I know what to do. And so losing my cousin was such a heartbreaking thing that happened to us. But because it really reminded me of the beauty of life and how tomorrow really isn't promised, it made me rethink my entire life and what am I doing? What is my purpose here? So there's this buzzword in the industry nowadays, experiential. Everyone is experiential, agency and immersive, hashtag immersive everywhere. To be a producer, coming from my experience and how I really curate, coming from my experience of loss, of grief, of needing connection, my core value of what I'm always trying to do through my production is I want to show people the beauty and interconnectedness of life. And so we've been building these beautiful brands that have turned into impactful communities like Undiscovered SF, like POC Food and Wine, like Pinayista, like Balay Creative. And we've seen the beauty of them. But part of what the struggle is with creating these new spaces that never existed is you're really a trailblazer. No one has set instruction manual of how to do this. And so you're learning as you go, making up the rules. And it hasn't been sustainable. We've been raising the money on our own and doing our best to make it happen. I know that I want to continue this work. And so the future looks like, how do we do this work sustainably? That is what the real power of events is reminding people that, bringing them together, and then creating a safe space that's rooted in psychological safety, that's rooted in beautiful curation of music and sound and light and smell and taste. And that creates this space for people to feel safe, to make connections that will be long-lasting, not something that is just fleeting. The event is over, I take my lanyard off and I'm done. And for me as a Pinay entrepreneur, it was lonely. I didn't feel like there was really anyone who understood me and my struggles and challenges. So when Undiscovered happened and all these Pinay entrepreneurs came out the works, so what I ended up doing as an event planner is I planned an event. So I came up with this idea, originally called Entrepreneur Summit, later rebranded to Pinayista, and it was basically Pinay entrepreneurs coming together. The first year we had 130, and eventually it turned into a 3-day summit with over 250 Pinay entrepreneurs. So this beautiful Pinay community was birthed out of Undiscovered, and I feel like that's the power of our events is you're not just coming for one day. You're coming, you're meeting people, and then collaborations just happen naturally out of it. Building with the Filipino community over the past 7 years has been such a blessing, such a joy, also a really humbling experience, to be honest. And we've seen the power of what can happen when Filipino creatives come together. And what was beautiful is as we were building Soma Pilipinas and Undiscovered SF, all these other POC leaders from other communities were coming up to us and saying, we love what you're doing. We'd love to kind of understand your model and how could we do that in our community. And so I saw this like opportunity to build more cross-cultural kind of collaborations. And I wanted to expand on that. So that's how we came up with the idea of throwing this party called Brown is Beautiful, because in general, it's just about us as like brown and black people celebrating our joy, celebrating who we are in this space where we're othered. And from that, then I was like leaning more into what else can we do to uplift more POC creatives and people in food and even wine, because for me, I love wine so much. I love drinking it. And after I got a scholarship to kind of learn more, take classes about wine, I realized I can have a space here. And so that's how POC Food and Wine Festival was born. So the goal is to create more spaces like this, but we need to do it sustainably. So we've decided to start our own nonprofit. So this isn't new to me. I have run a 501c3 in my past life, running a dance company. So now we'll be founding a new nonprofit called Brave New Spaces. And the whole idea of Brave New Spaces is to create a community for these trailblazers. How do we create community for the community builders and create a support system, a network where they can find each other, find resources, share, and then we can produce even more spaces like this. So if you have a grand idea, you have a big picture vision of something that you want to birth into the world, come to us. Come talk with us, let's dream together, and let's make it happen. Konnichiwa. お名前は Gina Mariko です。私はフィリピン人と日本人です。どうぞよろしく。